Okay, well, hello and welcome everybody on to this Q&A session here. My name is Claudia Eifert and I am live here from the office of Utopian Global here in Dubai. And it's a wonderful day. You see the sun is really shining at the moment. So maybe my lighting is not the best. And I have with me as well from our boardroom here in Dubai, Mr. Danish Rizvi. He's the Chief Investment Officer. And I have, of course, the founder and CEO of Utopian Global, Bill Rowell. He is joining us from down under, from Australia, where he is at the moment. So welcome, gentlemen, to the call. And we have collected quite a number of questions for you from the people who did send them in either via social media or email to us. So this is what we're going to do today, to have your questions on Cashets, that new product which we added to Utopian Global, answered for you. So with that, Bill, welcome to the call, and Danish, welcome to the call.
Thank you so much, Claudia.
Bill, you may want to say hello. You're muted. Yes, you did mute yourself. Yeah, let me just, okay. You should be able to unmute you.
I can now. Great to be here, Claudia. Thank you for arranging this call, and also excellent to have Danish joining us. And thank you for everyone putting these great questions towards us. Thank you.
Yes, I mean, that is very clear that when you launch a new product, there's always some questions which are going to come up. And so we hope that we can address them all for you. And I know and understand there will be always more questions coming. So as we go along, of course, with our new product launch, we're going to have more and more questions answered. But for today, we're going to answer the questions which came in so far to us. And of course, as I said, as we go ahead, we will answer more. So this is the first question I have for you, Bill, and that is why Cashets and why now?
Well, it's a great question, Claudia. And first of all, I would say because of the team. I've been in business since 1986, worked with many people, owned 4 hotels, operated all over the world, had companies pretty much on continents from Africa, Australasia, Europe, of course, as you know, and also North America. So the team is really important, intricate part to any company's success. So that is very, very important. Secondly, is that the world has changed. We see the trend very, very clearly now, strongly towards digitalization of assets. And through our strategic partnership that we formed in Dubai with some great business people, we've been able to bring a basket of assets to the table, which Danish will speak about, of course. And given that the world now, the pandemic over the last years, actually really since 2008 financial crash, I would say, interest rates have been trending downwards. And of course, we see them now in negative interest rates. In fact, I've just got a notification from my Swiss banker for our company probably about a month ago now that said for your Euro account, we're going to charge you for having Euros in your account, 0.5%. Sorry, 0.75%, and for Swiss francs, we're going to charge you 0.5%. So it's now costing people money to have money in the bank. So you're being penalised for being savers. Saving is a very, very important thing. We need to save during good times, so we have liquidity during the tough times. This is a basic principle of wealth creation as well, of course. So now these savers are being penalized. So that's one reason why we're doing it. Also, people need to have multiple streams of income. You need to be able to make income while you're asleep. You know, this is very, very important. So they're the main reasons why Cashets we have brought to the table for the people.
Thank you, Bill. And of course, you hit the nail there. I mean, everywhere in the news, you just hear about inflation rates at their highest. So definitely we with and through Cashets, of course, give you a really great opportunity. But Danish, second question for you. We expect an average APY of 30% or up to 30%, but also understanding, of course, the downside. In what circumstances can we have lesser returns or no returns on the Cashets?
Thank you so much, Claudia. Yes, I mean, that's a very important question. Just to understand the whole process of investment rollovers and diversifications in Cashets, most of the things will be easier to understand. So just going back to the presentation that I gave last week, the three very important principles over here for in Cashets, which we need to remember in terms of understanding Cashets itself, right? So one is entering and buying early in the life cycle of a product, and such opportunities are normally not available to most of the people, and it also makes Cashets unique. Second is that under Cashets, we try to roll over the principal investments within a year as much as possible. And third is all these investments and rollovers are happening in different assets to reduce the risk. So now, keeping these 3 points in mind, going back to your question of the downside, so we have averaged out the returns of around 30% per annum and spreading the risk at the same time, but the returns can be higher and can be lower as well. But the chances of being at lower is quite less, and I'll explain how. The risk of lower returns are based on the selling price of any product going down, but in Cashets, these prices are locked from before. So the risk of price fluctuation is not on Cashets, but actually on the seller. And the second chance of the default from the sellers, obviously that could remain there, but that is also very less because the sellers and suppliers are basically diligently vetted. And second, legally locked in for Cashets to actually enforce the saleability of those assets and products. Let's suppose if there was an event where Cashets needs to step in, and that happens, then has a choice to actually selling the assets themselves. So in such cases, the anticipated selling value will be discounted by 20 to 30% as the forced sale value of the product. But even in such cases, Cashets is only losing the markup on a particular batch of asset. And that's the reason of diversifying into various assets, industries, and batches. So overall, the chances are quite slim of lower returns. The chances of higher returns is much more, and I think I'll be explaining that later as well. But getting to lower returns is very less over here.
Great, thank you. And because this is something really, really key for people to understand, and they always ask. Now, another question for you, Danish, is how confident are you that this is a long-term investment?
Cashets is okay. Cashets is designed to give yields on a consistent basis, and assets. So it buys and sells within a year or maximum 2 years. So the purpose is to keep on making money now with these rollovers. Cashets is not holding on to any assets on a long-term basis. So we don't expect the price value of Cashets itself to increase significantly based on the book value of the assets it holds. So because, as I mentioned, we keep on selling and we keep making money. So Cashets has to be that portion of our wealth planning where we have a consistent yield generating instrument that can be cashed whenever the need arises from the investor. So I wouldn't say it's a long-term investment, yes, but there are other long-term investments as different products we are coming up with, which most probably will be launching in the first half of the year. So Cashets is primarily it's a yield generating token and instrument, and we have to look at in that scenario only.
Well, thank you so much. That's actually a very good answer of you there. And another question goes actually to Bill. And Bill, that is what some people, of course, saying, well, are we getting paid in Cashets token, or are we getting it in euro? And would it not be better to pay actually in euros and dollars instead of paying in Cashets?
It's a very good question, Claudia. The answer is no. And the reason being is primarily the transaction cost. If people are buying in and out of Cashets, in and out, being liquid, purchasing Cashets, and they're actually making them callable. Each time that they do that, of course, they're incurring quite significant transaction costs. So by us being able to have the price fixed at 10 euro cents per Cashets, of course, it's a yield token. People can simply go to their Cashets back office account. They can liquidate at any particular time, as Danish actually explained, and we get the number of tokens, of course, is reflected at 10 cents per token. So if you had 10,000 euros worth of tokens, you liquidated all of them, 100,000 tokens, you would see actually 100,000 tokens inactive in your Cashets module. And when you click the button, you have a selection, because it's actually a utility token, which means that you have an option what to do with that. You could actually you could actually use that to buy precious metals. We accept it for precious metals, the Cashets token. Or you can also select the button to pay out. And when you do that, of course, 10,000 euros, those 100,000 Cashets actually are bought back by the company, and actually 10,000 euros is actually credited to your e-wallet. And the e-wallet, of course, as you know, many of you, from there you can actually choose to be paid out to your Bitcoin account or to your nominated bank account around the world. So that's the reason why we do it, Claudia.
Yeah,
it's for liquidity, primarily for high liquidity and keeping the transaction costs low for people. Because we've got to remember, we've always been a company. This is coming into our 14th year of operation since we founded this particular company. And our purpose has always been to serve all people, not just the financially wealthy ones. Many people from many different countries, maybe someone bought 200 euros worth of Cashets. So they wanted to liquidate part of those. They could lose maybe 30 euros just in transaction costs. So we give them the availability and flexibility to be callable at will and not to be penalized by transaction costs. And just one more point, of course, the example that I gave regarding the liquidation of the 100,000 Cashets tokens, which would have a value of 10,000 euros. You could actually choose to only liquidate maybe 2,000. You can liquidate only part of that, okay? And therefore, it gives you that flexibility. So let's say you had 100,000 tokens, you decided to actually just liquidate to callable 2,000 of those particular tokens. We'd be able to credit in the end 200 euros that end up in your e-wallet at very low transaction fees. That's the whole idea of it.
Just to add over there, Bill, I mean, just for people over here, just to understand a bit better. I mean, it's not only the gold and silver and the packages that you can utilize and buy and purchase from these tokens, but there are different products that are coming in, and we are seriously working on it. And as I mentioned, we were actually on the development phase, and first half of next year, we will be actually coming up with these products, and you will be within the ecosystem of Utopian Global, can move around without having those transactional costs, as Bill mentioned as well. So then you have a variety of assets or products to actually invest in and liquidate without incurring too much other fees involved by going out of Utopian Global and coming back into Utopian Global. So the whole point is having an ecosystem where you can actually trade and exit and then buy and purchase different assets within that, and the cost remains low. And anyways, if you want to actually get paid in euros or dollars or Bitcoin or Litecoin, you actually have that option of doing it by actually putting the liquidation of the Cashets which are inactive.
Very good, Danish and Bill. Nobody likes fees, so that is for sure. Now, the next question, Danish, goes to you. What if we do not raise the minimum amount of the 5 million soft cap, which is, of course, explained in the white paper? How much time do we actually have to raise the minimum amount of 5 million soft cap?
Okay, well, soft cap is something which is normally required and is followed and understood by a lot of people in the market. But to understand a bit more over here, Cashets is now already buying in the assets in kgs and tons and square feet to square yards, small parcels, large parcels. So soft cap and Cashets is ideal to achieve better pricing on the purchases that we make. But if it is not achieved, let's suppose, it really doesn't matter, because the model and the returns are estimated on the best case scenario over here. But if we achieve the soft cap, we might improve the returns further more than even 30%. So otherwise, any amount is sufficient, but we are confident that the raise, as far as the timing is concerned, I mean, we're confident that the raise will happen, as far as the soft cap is concerned, around between 6 to 7 months max. And once the soft cap is achieved, the pricing of the procurement of these assets and obviously our negotiation powers increases as well. So we'll be able to get even better returns, even better than 30% per annum. So let's hope for that.
Very good. No, that's actually excellent, Danish. Now, the next question, Bill, goes to you. What actually happens if the minimum or if the maximum, sorry, is raised with Cashets. So if the maximum for what is of course explained in the white paper is raised, and if there's going to be a new token which we're going to create, or is it going to be that the offering will be made bigger? What's going to happen there, Bill?
Well, Claudia, first of all, it'll be fantastic, isn't it? I mean, we've been through 2 years of quite a difficult time for all people around the world. My last trip to visit some of these assets was going back November 2020. Actually, it was Angola in Africa, looking at different mineral assets and different things. So raising the full capital would mean great opportunities coming to the people. As Dinesh mentioned earlier on, he's looking at, I mean, Dinesh is our strategic investment advisor. He's been in banking for 25 years. He has many projects coming across his table. So by having that liquidity available to us means that we've got many more opportunities to bring to the people. And because this market's moving very, very fast. But to answer the question, means we just create new products, we create new tokens. We get more involved, as Dinesh already mentioned earlier on, we'll be more involved in the DeFi world. Many different types of products, which Dinesh, maybe you'd like to share some of that right now, what type of financial instruments that could be engineered when we have significant liquidity. But that's our direction. So the answer is we raise the full amount. That's fantastic. It's successful for everyone. We have some major projects, I mean, big projects that we're engaged in from Europe through to Africa, etc., in the Middle East as well. So there is not a shortage of projects. There's many projects out there in the world right now that need funding. And so the key is to have an experienced team that knows which projects to select and how to engage them. And then we want to take part of those projects and make it available to our members on Utopian Global. Maybe you'd like to add to that, Dinesh.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Bill. The thing is that, yes, as Bill mentioned, we are coming up with different products, and these products are not only based on physical assets, but also digital. So we are working on some tokens, which could be utility tokens where staking would be possible. And the staking will be backed by, talking about algorithms on different exchanges, providing the liquidity, would be related to lending. But then again, that's following the pattern which is actually being followed in the world. So that will be an addition over here. Apart from that, we're also looking into Bitcoin mining to provide that facility as to our investors as well. And not only that, as the question said, that if we are able to reach to that level, then yes, as Bill mentioned, yes, there are a lot of projects out there. But we have to be very careful exactly how will we be actually structuring it and making sure that their risks are minimum. So when we were putting up the hard cap was based on the current pipeline that we have. And we are very much sure that how we'll be controlling it, because control is very much important. And then how will be within those projects expanded. Now, as I think I did mention in my presentation as well, there's a lot of projects coming in, and Bill also mentioned, but we need to be very careful how we will be restructuring it. So let's suppose if we are getting oversubscribed, then we can think of going in the direction of another token, or maybe it could have a different strategy. I think it will be much more related to and dependent on the sentiment of the people that we have and the performance that we've actually achieved by that time. So let's wait for that time then.
Thank you, Dinesh. And there it goes actually right into the next question for you. How are you actually making sure that this project will not fail?
Well, in simple words, through diversification of products, industries, geographies, and by transferring the risk to the seller, and also by having the right to step in any time to liquidate those assets which Cashets hold. We do not take exposure on other companies. We are actually owning the actual physical assets. So at the end of the day, there's a value that those actual assets have, and we can liquidate that, and we can actually be out of that exposure anytime. So that's the way that we are trying to minimize the risk, and through the strategies and through legal binding on the sellers as well, we are reducing the risk of failures.
Thank you so much. And Bill, the Cashets presentation, which we are running, shows a return of a certain percentage, up to 30%, obviously. And obviously that is dependent on market conditions. Does the percentage work the other way as well, where if, let's say, a particular investment did well, that the return percentage would actually be higher than the 30%?
Another great question. Well, we live in a real world and we're engaged in real assets. Now, if we look at last 2 years, for example, if I look at let's say where I was in Dubai, let's give an example. If we invested in the hotel, let's say the Hilton Hotel, Magnificent Hotel in Dubai, it was closed for 18 months. So at that particular time, it would not be generating revenues. But the price of that token would not go to zero because you have asset value. The building, the land, everything would have some sort of value. And of course, now that Dubai is back in the full steam ahead, Dubai is very busy right now. These hotels have full occupancy, revenues are pumping. So people would see high yields, high returns in that particular token now. So yes, correct. Every asset, every real asset is affected by market conditions. But the underlying protection, as Dinesh has mentioned to us, is that we do have an asset value, correct, which is really, really important. But if the returns exceeded our expectations, maybe it came in at 34% or 35%, that would also be passed on to our members. I mean, it's in our interest in this participation of our members around the world to pay them as much as we can. We want these assets that we're engaged in, and you'll learn more about those particular assets as we move forward. Some of these assets have billion euro valuations. These are significant assets, okay? And it's also in a trending sector, a very strong trending sector to the green technology. So this is very exciting. So we can see huge price movements in these new sectors over the coming years, which of course will be reflected in profits, which will of course be passed on to a member. So yes, it can contract the margin, of course, which we've seen the last 2 years, of course, given what's going on in the world. But we can also see when conditions improve that, of course, you can also meet expectations, which is, of course, that's what we all want. But the key part, I believe, and as I said, I've been an investor since the 1980s, is to buy the right asset, have the right team there, and making sure you've got strong asset value. And really, if these types of situations happen again, like the last 2 years, you really have to be important, as Dinesh said. You have to be very selective on what projects you're buying into. You don't want to be caught with something that's non-revenue producing for 3 or 4 years. That would be very, very difficult.
Exactly, and we are still not out of this pandemic, as we do see in different jurisdictions. Next question, Dinesh, to you. Will we get any updates to what happens to our investments? To how are they deployed? Is there going to be any financial reporting of any sort?
For sure. I mean, the way that we're moving on Utopian Global and developing, there are very big plans, and within that, in line of that, we will be coming up with quarterly newsletters starting from end of March. There will be quarterly newsletters for Utopian Global covering updates on Cashets, its current and projected investments. It will also cover the gold and silver market performances, forecasts and plans for Cashets, future outlook for gold and silver, announcement on and updates on other products, and that we are basically launching, and by that time if we're launched. And those newsletters, those information will be passed on through that channel. But not only that, as far as the financial reporting on Cashets is concerned, end of year, there will be a financial extracts which will be published for Cashets solely as well.
Fantastic. And there goes the other question regarding the callability. I mean, we put it on the website, of course. We have it in our presentation. Who's actually backing this guarantee, Dinesh?
Okay, so it's good, a very good question actually for people to understand. This thing has to be addressed for people to completely know what exactly this is. So Cashets' purpose is to be held to give the holders approximately 30% at the end of the year and maybe more, which means that if someone wants to liquidate their position, we are in middle of the year, before the year ends, then we are not selling any underlying assets for them to exit, because it will affect the other investors. So what Utopian Global does is it steps in and buys those Cashets from those Cachet holders who are exiting anytime before the year ends. So firstly, it is not a guarantee. Instead, it's a sellback of Cashets, and this buyback is being done by Utopian Global itself and not any third party. Just to add over here for you to understand more how we're doing that is since last year, with regards to the growth and plans for Utopian Global, it has been growing its own investor base on its mother company. And that's the reason there you see new faces as mine. There's a substantial inflow of capital, and there will be increase in the team as well going forward in the next year, as well as other products that we already discussed. And since that, there has been many investment that Utopian Global is involved with, and also allocated a portion to cater the buying into Cashets, which it will do through the Infinity Vault. That is through taking over the position on Cashets from people who want to exit before the year end. Now, we are also receiving requests from a lot of investors that what if we are able, we should, as Utopian Global, create a position swap as an investment product of Cashets for other investors who basically want to actually earn like Utopian Global is doing by swapping these positions on these Cashets. So we are also contemplating that and might finalize on something, or maybe we not offer that to investors. But on our side, basically, we as Utopian Global is backing this all these buybacks.
Fantastic, thank you.
If I may add to that, Claudia, just for simplicity terms, primarily the key thing is that the assets that Dinesh and the team that's engaged with, the asset value far exceeds our capital raise. So there's a backing there. That's the most important thing, isn't it? And this is a principle that we've learned many things over the years, and the last 2 years has taught us a lot as well. So that's very, very important. And that the assets we get involved in, we don't don't over leverage ourselves with bank exposure or loan exposure on these particular assets to put us at risk. So this is one of the other points, correct, Dinesh?
Correct. I mean, as far as the soundness and the satisfaction of people to understand how exactly is it been doing. I mean, the process, as I explained, Utopian Global enters, swaps the positions, and basically, obviously, we are as Utopian Global holding Cashets for the next whatever 6 months or 8 months, and we earn from there. And not only that, as Bill mentioned, all these products, all these projects, and I mean, we're definitely not disclosing the valuations of these products and projects. They're actually in billions in different way, and we structured in such a way that we make sure that we are covered in the sense of 2 times the value of the actual assets. So even if the valuation starts to grow down, we have the potential of actually selling these products at a normal price, or even if a bit of discounted price, but we will be covered in the sense of paying back this money or taking over this position. And as I mentioned, we can introduce another swap product going forward if people want, which we are getting a lot of interest, but let's think about it and then we'll come back to you on that.
Thank you, Damish. And that's why we are still in the pre-launch phase as well. So we're still testing a lot of things, and there's certainly a lot of opportunities, just so less time. So let me go into the next question. And this is actually Bill for you. Will we have a more detailed presentation on the assets themselves in the future? And are you going to take customers or affiliates to see some of the actual projects like you actually did back then with the oil field?
Yes, of course, Claudia. We'll have. I think this is a very important thing, because transparency is really important. Just like we took people to Raccoon Bend in Texas to look at the oil field, of course, we'll be doing the same to the different assets in Europe and maybe the Middle East as well. To those qualified people, we're not going to bring people over. We're going to be able to reward the people who are working and achieving things within our companies. We're in a partnership here. But most certainly, that's very, very important. I love to bring people over to look at the assets and to experience them, to learn more about us, to learn more about the team, and etc. Because it also makes it validates what we're doing. It also makes it much easier for them to be able to go, if they've decided to become an affiliate, makes it much easier for them to go out and to refer something that you've actually been to see and touch. I always tell the story. One of my first major investments in 2004, apart from my 4 hotels, was the oil and gas in Louisiana. And I actually flew over there. I wanted to walk across. I saw the assets and how it all operated. So it gave me. I realized that there is asset value there. So we'll be definitely doing that as well. And the team that Dinesh the expanded team besides Dinesh. We've already spoken about this at the board level, and of course that's something we're going to support.
Thank you, Bill. And of course, we always sort of have been growing organically. But besides, of course, what we do have with the affiliate referral program, do we have a strategy in place to raise funds given the competition, of course, especially with competition in sort of sense with companies paying higher yield, like in products we recently know from all over the world, those DeFi products, which priding themselves to actually even pay more. What's the strategy that we have in place?
Well, to me, the number one key, I've always said sustainability is the most important thing, correct? You just don't want to be a high flyer for 12 months or 6 months or 2 years and disappear off the plane. I mean, how many companies have disappeared in the last, we go back 4 or 5 years, Claudia, how many of those companies, which are the big noters, are doing this and paying out these big things, are no longer here today? And you probably don't have enough fingers to count. There's been so many, hasn't there, that have already gone. So there's many scams out there. There's many companies who don't have any asset value behind them. They have a great story, of course. So as people who know me, I'm pretty strong on this particular point. We don't want to go down that path. Well, there's always going to be someone that's going to be able to offer a better price or a bigger return than what you can. That's not our game. Our game is to be transparent, have real asset value, give people strong returns in a good, transparent, liquid way, and to be sustainable. We'll be developing many new products. I mean, the world's changing very fast, and for the first time in my history, in these companies, I've worked with bankers and financial people for many, many years, but it's the first time we've had the pleasure of having an experienced financial team within our company, which is headed up by Dinesh. So that brings the traditional banking sector with our platform into the new DeFi world. We can actually engineer. We've had many discussions. You've had many discussions with Dinesh and the team as well as I had in the boardroom. So we have a lot of ideas there, but it's been very challenging the last 2 years, of course, to be able to get out and do things. I mean, some of the assets we weren't able to get out and visit, but we're still moving forward. And because the world's been locked down and it's still not open completely. But we've, as Dinesh said earlier on, we have assets, we own assets, and they're in the pipeline. When I say they're in the pipeline, the value chain is in process. So we can achieve these returns. We have strong asset backing. And yes, can we do more than 30%? Well, let's see what the assets do. Every asset has its own yield, correct? Its own performance, okay? And many companies have come out and said we can do this. Most of the time, you don't even know what's generating the yield, okay? People just get sold on the percentage, and I think, my God, how can they generate that? Okay, well, we know very clearly how we're generating our yields through real tangible assets, through the supply chain from the beginning, adding value through the time, as Dinesh actually shared on his last week's presentation, and we share those benefits to our members around the world. And it's not just a value chain, maybe one transaction per year where you get that value. It's multiple times throughout the year, which gives us the high margins to be able to give back to our members. So that's what we do. So yes, we're very conscious of what goes on in the DeFi world in many areas, and also the yields that they offer. But I'm not worried about them. Again, that's not. I like to keep the eye on who we are, what we stand for, where we're going to be 3, 5, 10 years. We've been here 14 years. We want to be here another 14, 15 years, correct, in this changing world. And as I said to you at the beginning of this discussion, many companies, Claudia, that came into the market with a lot of noise. Where are they today? We know lots of people put lots of money into these particular companies, and today they have nothing from them. So, the good thing is about when you're involved with companies that have real asset value, it won't go to zero because there's asset value, correct? And that's the principle that I've always had, and that's the principle that Dinesh also has when we start engineering from traditional financial instruments into the new DeFi as well.
Very
maybe
good.
Dinesh would like to add to that as well.
And maybe
yeah. Sorry. Actually, I would like to add over there. I mean, well said, Bill. I mean, there are a lot of competition over there, but I don't feel there's competition. I mean, when you say, and there are a lot of products out there in DeFi which are 100% to 200% returns and everything. Frankly speaking, I just follow the common sense. If that is a possibility that they don't need the investments. they can actually multiply their own. But the whole thing is that when you're actually doing is there's no shortcut to hard work. So what you need, what we believe, and that's what I've seen in my life as well, in investment banker, when marketing is done, okay, that will get you somewhere. But to reach to the substantial levels, performance will get you there. So if we are able to perform and the tokens and everything is giving the returns, you will be actually discussing and giving this opportunity to your friends and family and everywhere. It will actually go like a wildfire. So I think, yes, we will be doing some marketing. There will be social media marketing as well. There will be some events. But then again, I still believe that it really depends on the performance, and that will derive our growth. And let's the numbers speak for themselves.
Very well.
And of course, Dinesh, and of course, Dinesh, you've seen many different projects over the years because you've been a banker, are invited to many blockchain events in the Dubai region. And of course, I've sat on the committees. You sat on judging panels, of course. So you see many projects come across your tables, some which are fantastic and very exciting, and some which also you probably don't want to be involved with either. So it's all about the selection process, having the knowledge to be able to know what projects to select. But DeFi, there's no question about it. It's very, very exciting going into decentralized finance. The world's changing. I think it's changing in a good direction. To take out a lot of these middle processes, and we want to be engaged in that. But the difference of us is we want to be able to bring real assets to the world through this DeFi world.
Yes, and just to add here on my side, obviously to sit on the marketing side of Utopian Global. So we go certainly to a lot of events. I mean, I believe Dubai has become the blockchain hub. Definitely, I mean, the development which we see here of attracting people, the amount of events, it's just, I could not believe it until I really saw it and I'm here. So, and of course, Dinesh, I believe you did run or co-hosted or hosted or invent or actually initiated the Shark Tank sort of model here for that. Maybe you want to go in a second into that a little bit there, but so obviously there will be exposure from us, from our side, to be in those different events, be present as well to get more exposure. But yes, certainly the natural growth in terms of let the numbers speak itself is going to be the main role. So maybe Dinesh, you want to just quickly share before I go to the other questions, because this is quite a huge story actually what you did here in Dubai.
Yeah, thank you, Claudia. I wouldn't place that name because obviously there are copyrights. But then again, yeah, a very similar model. There was the first time actually. I've been part of a lot of panel discussions. I've been a speaker in a lot of events. Actually, been a leader in the sense of providing that information, advising, and so on and so forth as a speaker. But then again, I was involved with launching the Middle East first on-spot investment platform, which was not only produced to be coming on TV, but then again also had audience and investors and investors we call sharks as well. But and that was covered in CNBC. I think people can actually go there and check it out. It was called the Equity Room. And the thing is that the environment of bringing investments is very high. The technology-based startups and everything is coming in. Again, as Bill mentioned, that it is very important what you choose, how you choose. When you go into due diligence, you come across a lot of people who are just talks and there is no substance behind them. So I think this is something very much important. Sourcing is the most important thing. You get thousands of opportunities, but out of them, maybe there'll be a few which will be turning out to be diamonds. So, I mean, that's what we try to focus over here as well.
Thank you, Dinesh. And I have to move with the light here, so there's a lot of sun in Dubai. Apologize for that. So the next question is, Cashets, the token, is it going to be on an exchange, or do we have any plans to get it on the exchange?
Just a second. Yes, actually the answer is yes. We do plan to have Cashets on exchanges as well, but that will be taking some time because right now the current focus is on the technology and finalizing that and the back-end functioning of the physical trades. So we will be coming up with exchange offering for Cashets, but I think there's still time for that.
Thank you. The almost last question, the second last question, Bill, goes to you. From the past calls, we have heard UG Utopian Global is working actively hand in hand with communities. Is there any release of material coming showing all of what basically has been happening?
There's no material to be shown. In fact, as I mentioned, Claudia, I haven't traveled. Beginning of last year, I traveled much throughout. I was in Angola, I was in Uganda, I was in Kenya, I was in Colombia as well, and saw some of the communities. We bought a community a car. We've bought people bikes, push bikes. We've contributed to a school, as you also assisted with, Claudia. We believe in giving back. I mean, that's a principle of life, isn't it? Is to be able to give back and to be able to help out and support people who are maybe not as a good situation or circumstances or as an environment as what we are as well. So I'm a great believer in that. And as we actually start boosting our revenues and some profits, will certainly contribute to that. And I know Dinesh, he's heavily engaged even in the program as we speak right now in the UAE region. He's a great believer in supporting many good causes. So it's a principle, I think. It's a good human principle to be able to, look after the disadvantaged, the elderly, people in different circumstances, education, welfare. These are very important things to do. And so we support that. It's a principle I was brought up with, to be quite honest, isn't it? It's a principle of manners in one sense. If you get on a tram or public transport, there's an elderly person or a pregnant lady or a woman, you'd stand up and you give the person a seat. If there's someone wanting the desire for food, you want to help them out. You buy them a meal. You want to help these people, or clothing, whatever it might be. I mean, this is a good thing to do, and it's a principle we stand by very strongly in Utopian Global Board.
Thank you, Bill.
And Dinesh would like to add something to that as well, but I know he's very passionate about this as well.
Well, thank you so much, Bill. I'm always on the two minds. A lot of people believe that, should you be telling about these things, or you should not be telling about these things. But I kind of start believing that if we are able to share, then it's good, because we are also kind of promoting and letting other people know that, yes, there is something as a requirement out there. And it's kind of motivating for them to do something as well on their own. So as Bill mentioned, yes, it's in the DNA of Utopian Global to do and carry out these kind of initiatives. We are doing that. And as I mentioned, there will be newsletters. So we will be providing more information on what exactly we're doing. And maybe later on, we can have some kind of a small area on our own platform where people can reach out once we have these pools of invest areas of money, which is we will be deploying in these areas, so people can reach out to us directly as well. Maybe we can offer that on our platform going forward.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. And the last question is, how do you see a UG in the future? And are there any other products that we can expect on the Utopian Global platform, Bill?
The answer is yes, Claudia. You'll certainly see us in the future. I'm not going anywhere. Someone asked me the other day, why don't you, someone messaged me, I was flying here and they said, why don't you slow down? I said, I don't want to slow down. Why would I want to slow down for? I love what I'm doing. Why would I want to retire? I'm in my 60s. Why would I want to retire? Life is about purpose and contribution to your society. And so that is what keeps me driving. So, and our team has that principle as well. So the whole idea of Utopian Global, we're just starting. Okay, we're going into our 14th year, but our wisdom and maturity is only starting to come to us now, because we've attracted a whole new team, a whole new level to the company, this strategic partnership that we have, which Mr. Dinesh represents. And it's fantastic. The vision is huge. And the company, to be able to have that sustainable growth, needs a strong vision and the team to support that. So the next 2, 3, 5 years, we have a vision to be $1 billion company, be a euro company, I suppose. We focus on the euro at our company, and that's very significant. And why shouldn't it be? We're involved with real assets. We're providing products and services which are giving people good, solid yields, backed by a good team. It's very flexible. in a time of the world where people need it. There's many reasons why people need these. It's diversification. And I think what we're offering people is a great diversification. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. What we're offering you is a chance to be able to get great solid returns from our program Cashets, which is backed by assets. It's very flexible. And as Dinesh mentioned multiple times tonight, is that we're going to have many, many new products in the DeFi world coming into our platform as well. And these projects are significant projects. He mentioned it was a billion euro project size, many of them, and that's true, ranging from Europe into the Middle East and other parts of the world. And you'll get to learn more about that as we move forward. So yes, I have a very strong vision for Utopian Global, always have. So it's very, very exciting to be able to bridge. Utopian Global is a showroom. Primarily, Utopian Global is a showroom to a company that we have a strategic alliance with, a range of assets, of highly significant assets in the trending market with significant value. Most people would never in this lifetime get the chance to be able to be involved in these types of projects. And this is what Utopian Global really does. It's for the common person. I don't believe anyone is common, but let's just say it's for everyone, regardless of what your status is, where you live, whatever it might be, what your faith is, what your financial status might be, to be able to be engaged in these projects. So we get, through our platform of Utopian Global, we give you the ability to be able to do that, to be able to bridge that, to be able to get to meet people like Dinesh and his experienced team behind him as well, to be engaged in these particular projects. So I'm very passionate about it. This is what I do. This is what gets me up in the morning. This is the air that I breathe. I mean, this is exciting, you know. And nothing better than when you go, Claudia, and you've done it yourself. You go and visit some of these communities and some of our members in different parts of the world who have benefited from these programs. It's exciting. And it's not always about the big money. It's not always about the big money. If you can help people earn sometimes, you know, an extra 500-600 euros per month, it's game changing for them. But of course, we want you to earn a lot more. And now that we're recovering from this pandemic situation, we're now engaging with these new assets. So the next years is going to be very, very exciting. And I'm glad that we're set up base in Dubai with our partners there, and looking forward to bringing lots of new products, strong products to our members around the world. So I thank you for your trust and your involvement with us. Maybe Dinesh likes to say something.
No, yeah, I mean, well said, Bill. You covered it all. I mean, we will be coming up with many products. There's a huge plan, and we are growing. As you mentioned, there will be increase in team and everything. And as far as Bill is concerned, I mean, I don't think he will be retiring or anytime. If even it chooses, I don't think we will let him. So we're here for good, and this is going big. And it's not only just Cashets. You just wait a few more months, and you'll see more products coming in. And we'll have much more bigger community and people, you know, we need this will be built by all of us. It's not one person, it's the whole team. So hopefully we'll get there soon.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I mean, I go by the principle of what I just recently heard from the founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin. He said he believes we are going to be 500 years of age or longer. So around. Isn't that a great vision? So anyhow, thank you so much for this Q&A session. That is really, really great, because this was really very much needed for the people to understand and to have trust into the project and of course into the projects going forward. So I want to again thank you so much for taking out the time. I know we all have a very, very busy schedule for being here today with us in different parts of the world. Well, Dinesh, you and myself, we are here in Dubai, but of course Bill in Down Under, it's late already there. Thank you again and have a fantastic day.